Most people buying a used Camry or Civic are secretly hoping it just doesn't die on them. And here's the thing, it probably won't. Not because Japanese cars are magic, because the owners who push them to 400, 500, even a million miles are just doing 10 specific things that most people either skip, forget, or get flat out lied to about. I'm going to walk you through every single one of them today, and I promise, by the end of this, you're going to look at that car sitting in your driveway completely differently. Let's start with the lie printed right inside your owner's manual. Your Toyota or Honda manual says, change the oil every 7 to 10,000 miles. That number didn't come from an engineer protecting your engine. It came from a marketing department trying to make the cost of ownership look good on a comparison chart against a competitor. They're not thinking about your engine at 280,000 miles. Nobody at that company is. You know who was thinking about it? The guy in the Pacific Northwest who drove a 1990 Honda Accord past 1 million miles. He changed his oil every 5,000. He did it 185 times. The engine never needed a rebuild. No major work. Ever. A man in Louisiana put over 1 million miles on a 2007 Tundra hauling heavy equipment across state lines. His dealership confirmed 117 service visits. Same story. Full synthetic, tight intervals, never stretched it. 5,000 miles with a quality filter on full synthetic. That's the standard. Go past that, and you're not saving money. You're just gambling with your engine and eventually losing. Here's the one that kills me the most, because it's completely invisible until the damage is done. Your owner's manual might say the transmission fluid is sealed for life. Lifetime fluid. Sounds reassuring, right? Read the fine print. Lifetime means the warranty period, 60 to 100,000 miles. After that, the manufacturer is completely off the hook, and they know it. They remove the dipstick so you can't even check it. Out of sight, out of mind, out of warranty. The 1 million mile Accord owner? He changed his transmission fluid 31 times over the life of that car. Roughly every 32,000 miles. Drain and fill. Simple. Not a full flush. Don't let anyone sell you. A power flush on a high mileage transmission. A flush stirs up debris that's settled at the bottom and circulates it through the whole system. You're asking for trouble. Just drain 3 or 4 quarts and refill with the correct fluid. Do that every 30 to 50,000 miles, and the transmission will probably outlive the rest of the car. One specific warning, if you're driving a Nissan from 2007 to 2016, the Altima, the Sentra, anything with the CVT, those transmissions average 60 to 90,000 miles before they start slipping and grinding. The repair is $3,000 to $4,000. The fluid change costs about $80. I don't know how to make that math any clearer. Coolant doesn't stay good forever. It breaks down and turns acidic, and that acid quietly eats the aluminum inside your engine and radiator. You won't notice until your temperature gauge climbs on the highway, and by then, the damage is already happening. Flush it every 50,000 miles. When you do, replace the thermostat at the same time. It's $15 to $30 on most Japanese engines, 20 minutes of work. Here's why it matters. A thermostat that sticks closed causes the engine to overheat. An overheated engine blows a head gasket. On a 4-cylinder Camry, that's $1,200 to $2,500. 5-liter boxer engine, the labor loan to tear that flat motor apart pushes the job past $4,000. A $30 thermostat or a $4,000 repair. I've watched people make the wrong choice on that more times than I can count. Usually because the thermostat felt fine and they didn't want to spend the $30. This one can destroy your engine in a single moment on the highway and give you 0 warning. I had a customer bring in a Honda Odyssey last year. 12,000 miles on it. Timing belt snapped at highway speed. Pistons slammed into the valves. Every single valve bent. 2 valve guides cracked. The engine was scrap. She thought she had a timing chain because nobody ever told her otherwise. A preventive replacement with the water pump and tensioner, the right way to do it, would have cost her around $800. She needed a new engine in her minivan instead. Here's what you need to know. Toyota 4-cylinder Camrys from 2002 and newer used chains. Honda 4-cylinder engines switched around 2002. But every Honda V6, the Accord, Odyssey, Pilot, Ridgeline used a belt all the way through 2017. Subaru didn't switch to chains until 2011 or 2012, depending on the model. Mazda switched to chains across their lineup in 2012. If the vehicle has a belt, know the replacement interval. If you're buying used, assume it hasn't been done and negotiate accordingly. And if you're shopping for your next Japanese car, a timing chain engine removes this entire category of risk from your life. This is probably the least talked about fluid in your entire car, and it's the one directly connected to whether you stop when you need to. Brake fluid absorbs moisture from the air. Over time, that moisture corrodes your brake lines from the inside and seizes your calipers. But here's the part nobody tells you. Fresh. Brake fluid boils above 400 degrees. Old contaminated fluid full of moisture can boil at 300 or less. That means hard braking down a steep exit ramp or a mountain road, exactly the moment you need full pressure, can make your pedal go soft. That's not a metaphor, that's physics. Flush it every 3 years. It costs $100 to $200 and takes less than an hour. Skip it, and you're looking at corroded lines or seized calipers at $300 to $1,000 per corner. One more thing, grease your caliper slider pins once a year. 5 minutes per wheel with silicone brake grease, especially if you're in a state where they salt the roads in winter because salt eats brake assemblies fast. And a seized slider pin is one of the most common repairs I see on high mileage Japanese cars. This one costs you nothing to fix, literally $0. Every fuel tank accumulates sediment, dirt, rust particles from the tank walls, residue from gas additives. It all settles at the bottom. When you run your tank near empty, the fuel pump starts pulling that sediment along with whatever's left. That junk clogs injectors and kills the pump way ahead of schedule. The million-mile Accord was towed exactly once in its entire life, at 741,000 miles, when the original fuel pump finally quit. The owner said keeping the tank above a quarter was one of the main reasons it lasted that long. A fuel pump replacement runs $400 to $800. On some models, the whole tank has to come down to access it. All because somebody wanted to squeeze out one more day before stopping at the station. Keep it above a quarter. It costs nothing, and it's the easiest thing on this entire list. Nobody talks about this one, and it might cause more cumulative engine wear than anything else on this list. When you start a cold engine, the oil is thick and sitting at the bottom of the pan. The computer dumps extra fuel into the cylinders to compensate. That fuel washes the protective oil film right off the cylinder walls. For those first couple minutes, you have metal moving against metal with almost no lubrication. That's where a lot of the long-term wear actually happens. Not on the highway, not at idle, but in those first few minutes when the engine is cold and you're driving it hard. Let it idle for 30 to 60 seconds, then drive gently for 5 minutes. Keep the RPMs low. Don't sit in the driveway for 10 minutes warming it up. That's a myth from the carburetor era, and it actually increases wear. Just start it and go easy. And on the broader driving habits side, highway miles are dramatically easier on every system than city driving. The engine cruises in its comfort zone. The transmission barely shifts. The brakes almost never get touched. Nearly every 500,000-mile owner you'll find drove primarily highway routes. The million-mile Tundra hauled equipment cross-country. The million-mile Accord ran logistics routes. If you're stuck in stop-and-go city traffic most of the time, cut your fluid change intervals by about 25% to compensate. If you live where roads get salted in winter, this might be the single most important point on this list, and most people living in those states have never done it once. 4 billion lawsuit overframe rust on Tacomas, Tundras, and Sequoias from the mid-2000s. 225,000 trucks needed complete frame replacements. $15,000 per truck. The Mazda 3 and Mazda 6 from 2010 to 2016 developed rust in salt belt states so severe it ate through the structural metal by 100,000 miles. These are Japanese cars, reliable engines, solid drivetrains, destroyed by rust because the underside was never protected. Lanolin-based undercoating applied every fall. Products like fluid film or wool wax use the thin spray for internal frame rails and door cavities. Use the thicker paste for wheel wells and underbody panels. Stay away from rubberized undercoating on any car with existing rust. It traps moisture and makes it worse when it cracks. Wash the undercarriage every 2 to 4 weeks in winter. Touch up paint chips immediately. Bare metal starts rusting within hours in salty air. $150 a year in undercoating or $15,000 for a new frame. And that's assuming a frame replacement is even available for your vehicle. Sometimes it's not, and the car's just gone. Your local parts store will tell you the generic fluid is compatible. They're not lying to you. They're just not telling you the whole truth. Compatible and correct are not the same thing. Honda transmissions need Honda-specific fluid. Toyota automatics need Toyota-specific fluid. Nissan CVTs need Nissan CVT fluid. At high mileage, the wrong transmission fluid causes shuddering, slipping, and premature wear on the clutch packs inside the housing. The damage builds over thousands of miles, and by the time you feel it, you're already looking at a transmission replacement. Call the dealership parts counter. Give them your year, make, and model. Buy what they tell you. It might cost $5 more per quart. It's worth it. For engine oil, the brand matters less than the specification. Full synthetic from any major brand is fine, as long as it matches the weight in your manual. Aftermarket performance oil filters from brands like Mobil actually outperform factory filters on small particle capture, so that's fine to use. For air filters, stick with factory. Oiled aftermarket performance filters can contaminate the mass airflow sensor. That's a $200 to $400 sensor you didn't need to replace. A woman in Florida drove a 1999 Toyota Camry to 500,000 miles, and when someone asked her what her secret was, she said, Anytime something doesn't sound right or feel right, I take it in right away. That's the whole philosophy. And she's right. Every expensive repair I've seen on a Japanese car started as something cheap that somebody decided to deal with later. A failing oxygen sensor is $100 to $200 to replace. Leave it alone, and the engine runs rich, dumping unburned fuel into the exhaust until it destroys the catalytic converter. Now, instead of $200, you're looking at $900 to $4,500. A small coolant leak is $50 to $150 to fix. Ignore it, and the engine overheats, the cylinder head warps, and the head gasket blows. That's $2,500 minimum. A worn serpentine belt making noise is $80 to $150 to replace. Let it snap, and it can take out the power steering, the alternator, and sometimes the water pump with it. The owners who hit 500,000 miles aren't lucky. They're just the ones who refused to put off a cheap repair because it wasn't convenient that week. Here's the number that puts everything in perspective. Maintaining a Japanese car all the way to 500,000 miles costs somewhere around $35,000 to $40,000 total over its life. Sounds like a lot. Work it out per mile and you're at 7 to 8 cents a mile. Finance a new Camry today and you're paying 40 to 60 cents per mile. Once you factor in depreciation, 7 cents or 60 cents, you're already driving the right car. These 10 habits are the difference between a car that makes it and one that doesn't. If you want to see the biggest mistakes Toyota owners make, T-Hat, kill their cars early. That video's on screen now.